Well, good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful Wednesday, the day before the Turk Championship is set to begin. And this is Randy Weckerly coming to you with Global Eco Traveling and an update on where we play golf eco style. Art Strickland will be joining us in a few minutes. But before we got that opportunity to talk to Art, and I'm sure it's going to be about what's going on down at Eastlake, I wanted to share with you a few things about Global Eco Traveling because it has been in place for well now over a decade, and we began our eco certification program about 10 years ago, and now have just recently advanced it so that travelers around the world can be assured that when they look at places that we have certified, um, that number one, at least those destinations went through our inventory and we accepted them as a certified member. And number two, if travelers go to those destinations and find out that maybe some changes might be made, they can always contact us and we'll contact the facility and let them know what the experience is. But I'll tell you that about 99.9% of the time, everybody that goes on traveling today is going to places where they are finding them eco-minded and sustainable. And for us, this has been a great life investigating how we fit into this program. What we did is we took years to travel around the country and talk to some of the greatest sustainable and eco-minded locations around the world. We traveled the East Coast. We went to Kiowa. We have some great interviews that are up on our Global Eco Traveling channel that you can see that we talked to many members of the Kiowa area and of that facility. We also went down to Sea Island and we visited on different golf courses. King and the Prince, great time that we spent there, right on the shore. Couldn't be more beautiful. And we looked at all their eco-minded and sustainable opportunities. And then we ventured through Savannah, Georgia. And one of the fun things we did is we actually did go on one of the ghost tours down there. But what a remarkable city. If you've never been to Savannah, put it on your calendar and go visit Savannah, because they do have a saying down there that basically, and I find it exactly the truth, is that once you go to Savannah, you just don't want to leave. The people are great. The history is remarkable. It's near the Atlantic Ocean. So you can travel, all around the beautiful, beautiful community with all the amazing history going back to, it's just fun to learn about how Georgia became a state, how remarkable the battles were. And then during our horrible Civil War, when Sherman was marching through the South, he got to Savannah and he said it was just too beautiful to destroy. And he gave it to President Lincoln as a present for Christmas that year. Did not harm it at all. And if you go to Savannah, it's beautiful. But we have traveled from Hawaii to the West Coast to Arizona, of course, extensively through Florida, the Midwest, reaching from South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, all the way out to Washington, D.C. And we have fall trips coming up that are going to take us to New York, Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. And again, as we go, we are going to the places that we consider just, on our list of fresh air, good dining, places we might want to work out or, take a walk, but to rejuvenate ourselves and spend some great time with some new friends. We are looking forward to going to location, the Weekender hotels that are located in New York, and they have about 4 facilities that we're looking to stay at in October. And we're lining up multiple stops along the way to talk to up at Lake Placid. I understand that the state of New York has done a big renovation up there, repositioning the former Olympic area into a place that you just don't want to miss. Well, I got these old eyes on today, but I wanted to share with you the 6 areas of importance on eco certification that we measure. And when our a little crooked. When our members take a look at our application, the world of eco certification has been broken down into 6 areas that we certainly feel are important, but also do many of the certifications. And there are some great eco certifications around the world. I certainly am not saying ours is standing alone, but I do know that we are the one with the biggest media platform to get the story out of our media certified members so that people like yourself, the traveler, can sit and listen and see and touch and feel before you go our certified members locations. But the 6 areas that pretty much, there might be more, there might be less, but the 6 areas have been agreed to around the world that are measured in certifications are number one, the community benefits that an organization brings and the ecosystem impacts, the education that they can provide to a community or to the people that are staying with them. Number 3 is waste reduction, recycling, and purchasing of what kind of materials that they are purchasing. Energy conservation, obviously, and energy management, water conservation and management, and the air quality in transportation. For instance, simple things like East Lake, the golf course that's being used for the tour-ending season championship. Or by the way, if you get last place, you make $550,000. Not a bad 4 days of golf, but these are the best golfers in the world. The winner, I think, gets 18 million. It's an amazing total. But East Lake itself, you know, they did things like convert their gas-powered golf carts to electric, which, again, if you play golf, a couple of different things. If you're in the world of golf and you play golf, you'd much rather go to a facility that had electric carts than gas carts. Number one, gas carts are loud. Number 2, they always are emitting some kind of exhaust that you got to try to avoid. Number 3, they break down seemingly easier than electric. But when you take a look at East Lake, which was founded by Bobby Jones a long time ago, and all the renovations that they've made to the community down there and the impact that the PGA Tour has brought down there, it is really, really fundamentally exciting. For me, some people have asked me how I got interested in global eco traveling. Well, let's see, back in 2012, 12 years ago. Well, it was much longer than that. As a kid, I had a grandfather who I loved very much, who was a naturalist. We come from humble beginnings. And on the weekends, he would take me to a small little cottage up in Wisconsin. I grew up in Northern Illinois. And he would, you know, I was 5, 6 years old. And, you know, what does a kid 5, 6 years know? You're on a lake, you're throwing rocks in the water, you're there with your grandpa, and he takes you out fishing every Friday night. And, you know, we'd go and we'd catch, you know, 50, 60 white bass, the water perfectly clear. He would teach me as the years went on how to read the weather, how to read the clouds, how to go and, you know, we found many different things to live on. As I said, humble beginnings back in the 50s. You would sit there and you wonder, you know, you look at how you're going to eat. So from fishing to turtle stew to frog hunting, I guess you would call it, using bow and arrow. We learned to live off the land. When my grandma would then go out, she'd find, you know, literally go in the forest and find what she called endive, but you know what it really is? It's dandelion. Dandelions are totally edible, I'm told. And they are. And she called it endive. It's not really what you'd find in the store in endive today. But she would do that and find berries. And we always had wild grapes that she made the greatest Concord grape juice out of. And, you know, asparagus, there was always wild asparagus that were growing, wild strawberries. And she'd come back. So what have we invested in wild food? Well, we had big families. Families were extremely big back in the 50s after the war. Uh, my great grandmother had 8 kids, and one side of the family, and then my dad's side of the family, my grandmother had 8 or 9 kids. And all the cousins, we never knew what cousins and what families were going to be coming to the cottage on the weekend. So, you you had no TV, you had no phone. You had the beautiful earth and my grandfather, and we spent time enjoying being outside. Lake Eganza is a beautiful lake just south of Madison, and we would leave at about 3:30 every Friday if school was in. Can you imagine just going and running out of school and jumping in your grandpa's car, and an hour later you're on a lake and you're fishing, and your hero is with you? Now he made me work as I got bigger. I had to mow and do the odd jobs. I didn't care. I loved just being with my grandpa. And Nevin Foy was his name. And you go up there and you live life. I don't think many people today would understand that, again, back at that time, what an outhouse was. And maybe in the winter, it was not a place you want to go, but you had to go. Pretty interesting. But Global Eco Traveling, one of the things that we found, and again, it just sort of evolved our certification process, is that a statistic back in the 2012 arena area found out that 67% of all travelers at that point in time, or travel consumers, did research, and they demanded that wherever they went had to be eco-minded. Another survey by Condé Nast back in the 2012 era, the question was, do you consider yourself eco-minded? And 92% of everybody back then said yes. Well, within the last couple of years, those statistics are even bigger. And what I mean by that is I look at it every Monday, and I just look at it today, Wednesday. And today, in many different publications, is that 80% to 90% of today's traveler is demanding that where they go is to be sustainable and moreover very eco-minded. And the other thing that goes along with this that was a little troubling was there's another survey by a younger group of I would say kids in college, that age bracket, that they found out 75 to 80% of the time that the places that they went that said they were eco-minded and sustainable were not. And so what do they do with that? When you've paid the money and you thought you're going to a place that they thought was, had sustainable practices, and it's not, who do you complain to? Well, there is nobody unless they're certified by somebody. So again, you can see the importance. And what we did is we created what we call our Global Eco Traveling Eco Certification plus media component, because we not only felt it was important to certify destinations and tell the story through our magazines and our websites and what we say on liveecostyle.com, all the good things in life, where we talk about dining and sipping and travel and health, recreation, sports, and spas. But what it really means is that when we certify a place, pretty simple and affordable for destinations, is that we give them the media platform on our own excitedmindsmediatv.com, which also parallel same scenario you can find up on Roku by going to Excited Minds Media channel, that you can find the stories of our certified members, and you can sit and see what media that they sent to us to put up on our channel. So we're pretty proud of that. As I hate to say you're the only company doing it, but I keep doing research every week, and I know we have spent and invested a lot of money getting into this area where we could sit and not only certify destinations, communities, businesses, but also put their story up on our platform. So we've met a lot of great people along the way. And, and then it led us to, because we've had this big interest in golf over the past 20, 25 years, we created Where We Play Golf Eco Style. Think about it. Golf courses today are extremely sensitive to water and herbicides, pesticides, and all of that. And we're going to be talking to our good friend Art Strickland here in a minute. Let's let Art in and we'll get him up on air. And let's ask him about Where We Play Golf Eco Style. Expectation. There he is.
Hey,
Live
how
and
you doing?
good. How are you, Dr. Art?
I'm just glad to be here. Glad to talk golf. Glad that college football's here. A lot of things to be glad about.
Well, it's a big week. It's a good tournament to finish last in. You make five hundred and fifty
Right?
thousand dollars, and you and I could, if they'd have spots 31 and 32 and pay us 550,000 large, that'd be okay with me. It's not a bad
You
day.
know, that's why you think Justin Rhodes is so upset. He barely missed it. Could have used another payday.
Well, everybody, we're already live and ongoing here. The cameras are rolling, and we had about 10 or 20 minutes here talking about our global eco traveling, but right on schedule. Art Strickland coming from the beautiful state of Texas and an author. He was nominated. He was a Pulitzer nominated author for, I think it was an investigative publication or book that you
Right,
put
right.
together. Yeah.
First NAIA school ever to get the death penalty. You Arkansas Pine Bluff. So yeah, I've got that on my resume. Until you've been hung in effigy, Randy, you really haven't lived.
I haven't, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be either. I will leave it go at that. But
That was a long time ago in a different lifetime.
yeah, but you've also got about 19 other books you've written though too, something like that.
I think 12, but yeah, close to
Well,
19.
well, we gotta, well, if today if everybody says inflation is bad, so I'm along. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's all good. But anyway, welcome, Art. We always appreciate you coming on. This is our Where We Play Golf Eco Style slot. Of course, Eco, well, there's a big announcement that was made this week about East Lake getting a
Yeah.
word from PGA about the eco-minded, things that they've installed down there. Did you read that article?
I did. And I played Eastlake before, obviously not since the change, but what was Victor Hovland said? It's a totally different golf course. They've got an island green now on number 15 they didn't have before. But one thing I learned when I played Eastlake, which I did not know and has not been changed, it's a pretty hilly course. I expected it to be fairly flat, but a lot of hills there, a lot of ups and downs. And so, I was playing Eastlake one day and I heard this heavy breathing behind me. I looked up and my caddy was huffing and puffing to get it up the hill. So, hopefully the caddies are a little bit better shape than what I had when I played there.
Well, you think that they're going to probably call it a cakewalk. Last week when they played out in Colorado,
Castle
my
Pine,
understanding
yeah.
was if you walk the center of the fairway alone, it was 8 miles up and down.
I
So
believe that. I played Erin Hills one time where they played the US Open. And the caddy goes, if you ever wonder where the next hole is, just look up because you're probably walking uphill to find it.
both ways, yeah.
Both ways.
Well, you and I had some good times. I still haven't lost that weight from that buffet we had gorged ourselves on that week, and
It was pretty
that
good.
was, yeah, it was spectacular. Um, anyway, this week you got Scotty Scheffler, who, what is the first prize? 18 million,
I
25
think
million?
that's right. He already what? He won that Comcast business
Yeah.
hoodah to doodah, and that was 10 million. So now you get that 18. Well, kids are not cheap, as you know better than most, Randy. Kids are not cheap. And Scotty's got a new one, so you got to get him going.
What a beautiful, beautiful family. I saw his interview about how many strokes he has to give his when he plays at home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Royal Oaks. Yeah.
that
And
was really good. He's now at plus what, 7, they said.
I
So
think
he's
that's right.
giving
Yeah.
away 20 strokes.
It was too funny. I did a story on he and his buddies at Royal Oaks one time. So I talked to one of the guys that plays with them all the time, and he said, "Yeah, my kid's really impressed. I've got Scotty's cell phone number, so we can set up a match." I said, "Better than that, I've got his Venmo account because that's why I have to send him money every time after we play." Can you imagine being a major champion and playing at home and taking money from the
Oh,
members? That's pretty funny.
no. Just found out yesterday that the Santa Claus came to a golf store in our own community. And if you know who Santa Claus is on the senior tour, uh,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
John was looking to buy or hook up with a new company, new guy that's called Sub 70 that's from Sycamore, Illinois. Uh,
right, right.
that's grown in, and the owner there that I know, he sends me this picture. He says, "Who do you think this is?" And I'm looking at him going, "One guy, white beard, you
Yeah.
know." So,
Smoking, drinking, and a little bit
yeah.
overweight. But
Well,
did
yeah,
you watch the YouTube video with Bryson DeChambeau and John Daly?
just briefly. I haven't.
It's pretty amazing. Bryce and I played golf in the last week in Dallas for a Live Golf event, and said they've already gotten 4.4 million views on that video.
Is that right?
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he is. So tell us about that live event you went to. What was that? You
Well,
were.
they're having the Lib Team Championship. Lib Team Championship is at Merido Golf Course here in Dallas. Is I think it's September 20th through 22nd. I believe that's correct. And so anyway, it's the end of the Lib Golf season. And so Bryson was on hand at Merido with David Faraday, who of course does the Lib Golf broadcasting, and Albert Huddleston, who is the guy that made it all financially possible. And so but he was talking about, what he's done. I asked him, I said, "Are you surprised that your YouTube videos have gotten as much, traction as they have?" Because, the one he had with Donald Trump got 14 million views. And he said, "That's the way kids communicate these days." He said, I looked at, Dude Perfect, and he said, "Those guys are blowing up. A Good's another one." He said, "I saw what they did, and I kind of slapped my forehead and said, that's exactly what I should be doing."
Huh. Well, and a lot of people love to listen to him. Uh,
Yeah, he's
you
a
know,
sharp guy, and and someone brought up, and this'd be a good question maybe for another show, Randy. But he is the only guy who has gone to Live Golf and got more popular since he left. A lot of times guys go to Live Golf. Bubba Watson's a good example. Patrick Reed's another good example. Andrew Anson, they just totally disappear from the face of the earth. You don't even know if they're playing golf any longer.
yeah.
But the fact that he has got more popular, and I think that's because of YouTube, because of the U.S. Open. He said that he worked really hard to change his personality. And I think that just shows you anybody can change, and it's always been my philosophy. And I may have brought this up before, Randy. It's easier to be a nice guy than it is to be a jerk. It takes less energy to be a nice guy and to be nice to people and spend 30 seconds with them or whatever than it is to be gruff and bruff and say, "Get out of here," and "I don't have time for you." And, so props to Bryson to try to change things around because, you got to have the will, you got to have the effort to do it, but it is definitely possible.
Yeah, I'll never forget when we had Miss Kier down at the she wanted to have an introduction with Bryson years ago.
A
And
significant
yeah, I don't
introduction.
know if you remember, she said it on air, and I said, "Well, we can get that done." Well, sure enough, we were down at the TPC, and
Right.
Bryson was coming off the 18th off a practice round, and I said, "Come here, come on." So I told Miss Kira to come over with me, and he's coming up the hill, and I said, "Hey, Bryson, you got a minute? I'd like you to meet Miss Kira." So she's got these pictures, got his arm around her, and so forth and so on, and the next day, and I didn't know him that well, but the next day he's walking by, and I'd read about his dad's ill health, but he looked just really like one of my sons. And, I was sitting there actually by the locker room, and they had, because you can't go in the locker room with players coming out. I said, if I didn't know better, you were one of my sons. And he looks up at me and said, I remember you from yesterday. I go, yeah. And I said, so what's going on? So actually, I've got a nice interview with him back then that we talked. It was really great. I mean, he spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
And,
good for Bryson, and like I said, but Lib Golf's coming in, Tour Champions coming in, got the President's Cup, which I don't know how much interest there is in that. I mean, but and then Jordan Spieth, is having wrist surgery really this week, I think. And so it's just the it's tough go for him, but that just shows you golf is fleeting and for anybody. And, among the million other things that made Tiger special, he would do something spectacular. He would have a spectacular year or season or tournament. Then he would turn around and do something even more spectacular after that. And so, it's props for him for doing that.
Two things happened 28 years ago today. Well, put it this way, 28 years ago today, a small, skinny kid came out of Milwaukee and said something. What was that famous line he said?
Hello, world.
Yeah, there you go. And but that was 28 years ago today.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he had the one thing, if you go back and you take a look at his amateur record, who is ever going to break the record of 3 juniors,
six record,
and 3 amateur?
Yeah. ESPN did a great feature on that. They had all 6 guys together who he beat, 3 in the junior and 3 in the amateur. Really fascinating stuff. And, Trip Keeney, who lives here in Dallas, famously had I think 6-shot lead after 18 holes over Tiger.
Yeah.
And I asked him about it, and he just said, I certainly grew the legend that day for Tiger.
Oh, I remember watching that. That was a straw hat, and I think he sunk a 30, 40, 50 footer to tie him. And you sit there and look at it, and who was the other kid? Scott.
Steve Scott.
Yeah, Steve Scott. I think he did sort of a similar treatment, to him.
And then Buddy Marucci was the third guy who he beat it at in Rhode Island at Newport Country Club.
Yeah, so his record for those 6 events is 50-0.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? 50-0. That just
match play is so hard. And that's why, I just think that's why, because as you know, Randy, you can play great in match play. The other guy just plays better.
Yeah.
Or you can play terrible and the other guy plays worse.
Yeah, it's just a different animal. I'm not a good match player. I'm not good at anything, but not match play. The other thing is 81-year-old today, Butch Harmon.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Right. 81 years old, still kicking, one of the best teachers in the world. I thought it was sort of a bookend karma thing that it was 28 years ago that Tiger said hello world and started his career. And, it was really his first coach was Butch Harmon, other than outside his dad, I believe, wasn't
right.
he?
No, right. Yeah. But it just, but that just shows you that some of these things never go out of style. Butch is still as relevant today as he ever was. And that's just because time was teaching, it never goes out of style.
No. And people ask me, well, what YouTube videos? I mean, there's so much on YouTube that today, when it comes to golf instruction, I mean, how many times you go on any social media, Facebook or whatever, and there's 20 different people trying to teach something, new about golf. So
no doubt.
It's really tough, but
we've got some good stuff coming up with the Art of Golf. Looks like we filled our Ireland trip. So that's a good thing.
Wow, congratulations.
Fill up a trip, and now we can go on a waiting list if people want to try to get in. But, we're going to the PGA, Omni PGA Frisco East Course next month, and where they're going to play the PGA Championship couple of years. We're playing the KPMG next year, where they're actually going to play the Ryder Cup in 2041. I may need handicap parking for that, but yeah. So it's fun. Then we're going to Bandon Dunes, Randy, and we're going to Bandon Dunes in October. So a lot of good stuff. I had lunch, guys, doing the new Bandon Dunes, same owner, Mike Kaiser, in East Texas, called, so exciting stuff in the world of golf. There's always
Well,
another great golf course.
what's that .com again, Art?
Uh, it's www.theartofgolftravel.com, theartofgolftravel.com.
And I always ask Art because I want to throw it in there. Never forget that Art takes a beautiful group down to the Masters every year.
Every year, yeah, we got a couple spots left for that, and it's such a bucket list for people. And I talked to a guy, I guess on Sunday or Monday, and he just said, I really want to take my dad, but he's not in real good health. It's getting worse. He needs to get out there while he can walk. And that's really the key of the Masters. People really don't realize how hilly the Masters is. And you've got to be in some shape to walk it. And otherwise, you just stand on the putting green and look from afar. But so he wants to take his dad while he still can. And that's why just such a bucket list for people, and always a good time and a good place, and it's unique than any other tournament. The prices are unique, obviously, for the food and all this stuff. The quorum is unique. You can't take a cell phone. You can't run. You can't say Baba Booey or you're the man. It's just really a throwback that people are actually there to watch golf. What a concept.
Yeah, interesting. Hey, what on your trips are most of them to courses that are walking courses required?
Where's that?
No, on your trips on the Art of Golf Travel, when you travel.
Well, it just depends. I mean, Ireland, Scotland is a lot of people, it's almost all walking over there because that's the way they do. They don't do, but most of the carts are carts. We had golf carts at Pebble Beach when we were there last month. I think Bandon's all walking because it's more Irish and Scottish, but obviously, PGA Frisco is golf carts, and you go to the Masters, play golf there, it's golf carts, and
where is it golf carts?
Well, we play other places in Augusta when we go to the Masters.
Yeah. Well, so, I had, including myself, one of my friends that was interested in going. We both have bad left knees. So I tend to walk around in circles a lot because that left knee just doesn't work. But we're trying to get back.
The sooner you get out to the Masters, better off you are, Randy.
Well, to test it, my third son with his granddaughter gave me a trip to Disney in July 4th, 110-degree heat. And he said, well, here we go. I didn't realize how much walking was going to be in that, but it was 18,000 steps a day. So I'm 50,000 steps later, I made it through that. So it's all flat, but 110-degree heat for a 115-year-old guy, it was it was a tough.
Quite that hot in Augusta, Randy. No, quite that hot.
Well, listen, I look forward to next Wednesday again.
Always good. And like I said, we'll see what happens at the Church Championship, President's Cup coming up.
Yeah.
Speed surgery. Scotty's going to go on some dry dock. So be an interesting time all the way around.
Well, I wish you the best. Everybody go to theartofgolftravel.com, sign up for Art's trips. And Art, you're always a joy. And we look forward to talking to you next week.
Hey, thanks, Randy. Always good to be with you.
Yeah, you too, boss. Talk to
you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that wraps it up for today. That was great. That's Art Strickland and some of my passion pertaining to Global Eco Traveling. But get out there and try to go play a little bit of golf. Enjoy the fresh air. Fall is coming. I heard that, what do they call those? Pumpkin lattes are already up and going. But sitting where I am in southern Wisconsin has been a beautiful summer. And we have a few hot days right now, but fall is just ahead. And we're heading out on our Global Eco Traveling trip in 2 weeks, beginning up north, just almost to the lakeshore of Lake Superior. We're going to be enjoying the color, the food, the bounties that are going to be on the road. And we're going to be talking to many, many destinations along the way, beginning in the Wisconsin Dells with our eco-certified golf course at the Baraboo Country Club, and talking to their pro there, Cliff. And he's been certified with us for over 10 years. So anyway, what a great place. We got a great fall ahead. Colors are going to be coming. And y'all be safe and healthy out there. And for Global Eco Traveling, Art Strickland, myself, have a joyous day. Bye-bye.